There is absolutely nobody more toxic than somebody with no intentions of actually intentionally changing their habitual patterns, someone who is not receptive to new information, not willing to throw out old paradigms and old belief systems, not willing to submit to the ancient way that is and always will be, that cannot be recreated or refashioned just because of your preferences. There is no one more toxic than someone who has positioned themselves that way. But you out here talking like you really want to relearn love, like you really want to relearn existence, like you really want to excel, like you're really ready to abandon your poor habits and poor thinking that's led to your poverty-driven experience that you complain about. If you have no intentions of changing it, if you have no intentions of abandoning it, if you aren't even willing to reconsider if it was ever substantial enough for you to be standing on or standing with in the first place, then shut your mouth and just continue in your dysfunction and allow for those who are not willing participants to carry on as they progress in truth down the path of liberation, continuing to try to be a light to you. But you be right here pretending to be light yourself. A lot of people will try to hide their ignorance behind their arrogance because a lot of people are easily intimidated. But what happens when you end up ignorantly in front of someone who is knowledgeable? What happens when the ignorance is absent from the person that you're trying to intimidate and they are knowledgeable that you can't hurt them? There's nothing you can say that can lift them up or tear them down. There is no death to experience. You can't do anything to their physical earth. Crazy thing that they forgot to tell us in science class is we are all light beings. The universe that we live inside of is a light wave universe. Genesis tells us clearly, let there be light. Light is the one substance, the only substance that all other forms of matter are created out of. Everything that you see, everything that you've experienced, everything that really exists is formed from light. Low vibrating light turns into matter. High vibrating matter turns back into light. It's really simple. You just never heard it before. You was learning something else. Being intentionally deceived. The people who taught you science, the people who taught you history, the people who handed you religion, deceived you on purpose. And those who allowed for it to happen are just as guilty as those who wrote the script. Might have heard of him, might have not, but he's played a big part in your life regardless if you live inside of the United States. Charles Thompson, one of the founding fathers of this nation, created the seal that's on the back of your dollar bill. The dollar bill that you and I chase. I ain't gonna leave me out. I'm not biased and I'm transparent as hell. So I'm not gonna put and point my finger on you or at you and act like it don't include me too. But Charles Thompson is said to have had an accurate account of the founding of this country. And when he was being told by his counsel to put it out, he was being pestered to put it out. He was being told that he had something on his hands that was valuable for the American people, that needed to be printed and needed to be spread across the country so that what he knew to be factual could be learned by those who didn't know. And he decided not to put it out. He decided not to put it out so that he would not undeceive future generations. Now, when that man said that way back yonder, somewhere back in the 1700s, when he was talking about not wanting to undeceive future generations. Who in the hell was he referring to other than your parents, my parents, their parents, you, me, our children? He didn't want to release the true account that would undeceive the American people. The founder of the country, one of the people that was in the back room, one of the people that had a direct bird's eye view, told us that we were deceived. And you still have people who would get on here and argue until they are red, blue, and white in the face over his story of the origins of the establishment of a company on stolen land. It's crazy. The mind is expressed through light. Remember that cliche statement that we grow to find out is not as cliche as we thought it was? What's done in the dark will come to the light. Remember how your mama made that and your girlfriend them made that out to be anytime you were being dishonest and you didn't want other people to know, it would eventually be discovered. But you know it didn't take you long as a little liar to experience that that wasn't always true, because you didn't get caught up in every lie you told. You got caught up in a lot of them, but you told a lot more. And it didn't always come to the light, at least not to the people that you was hiding from. See, this statement is not a cliche to be used socially as an impending doom for someone who is being dishonest. It's not to be used as a mechanism of control for somebody that we want to tell us the truth that we haven't developed the rapport and connection with to be able to rely on transparency and honesty. That's not what this is. This is a principle. This is a hard fact. This is an immovable law. What's done in the dark will always come to the light. The contents of the inside of you will always become visible to those in the physical experience with you that know how to observe and identify what it is that they are looking at. You think that your thoughts are hidden. You think that the things that you are talking to yourself about on the inside of yourself are not seen, heard, felt, or discoverable. You feel like if you don't write it down, nobody will know. You feel like you have privacy because you don't articulate yourself on paper and stash it in places where other people can get their hands on it. But you've been in public before. You done been in the mall looking at somebody funny that you couldn't relate to. You done seen an outfit. You done seen a face. You done seen a peculiar presentation. And you've whispered to your friends things. You've thought things within yourself that could not be audibly heard by the person that was the subject of your critical judgment in the moment. But then that person did something funny. But it wasn't really funny. It was only funny because we rather label it funny than label it factual, because once you know something, you're accountable for it. Once you know, you're supposed to do better. So the minute that you notice that the things that you are thinking sometimes can be felt by the person that is the subject of your strong judgments and thoughts, that's when we're supposed to go back and reconsider our belief system that if I don't say it and I don't write it down, and if there's nobody that can give an account as an eyewitness or an ear witness that I said it, ain't no evidence that I said it, and nobody can genuinely know. See, we love secrets because secrets help cover our lies. Without secrets, your lies wouldn't convert. When you no longer are dependent on lies, you no longer need secrets. Now you can unlock. Now you can give yourself in ways that you haven't been able to in the past, beyond your vernacular. For instance, you say you love your children, and I pose a question. I understand that you probably are the one who solely cares for your children, as far as the one who is, and to be real, that's a stretch. Because I was about to start with you being the one that's providing the food that your kid is eating. But we can jump on the computer, but I won't waste our time, because we understand that the statistics will be high if we do. And that's good enough for me as a student, and I hope that it serves you well as a student as well. But there's a large percentage of parents that are dependent on some alphabets connected to a swipe card, and they're not even purchasing the food that their children are being nourished with. And they get up and get in cars that the bank owns, that they pay to borrow, but call their own because it's in their name. But their name's not even their name. It get crazy. But anyway, and they go to the car line or to the bus stop and drop their kids off to go and participate in a education system that they do not provide. They do not play a substantial role in the building of the curriculum, nor the presentation of it. And then there's the TV and the video games and YouTube and apps and the cell phone that we provide to give our kids entertainment, because we don't even provide their entertainment. So we're not providing their food. We are not oftentimes the owners or the builders or the providers. We may be the leasers or the mortgagers of the shelter that they enjoy, and they may not even enjoy it, because that's dependent on the energy that's flowing on the inside of it and the nature of the character and behavior patterns on the inside of it. Because, I mean, a roof is nice, don't get me wrong. When it's raining and you don't want to get wet, or it's cold and you need walls. But understand, living with some of y'all is definitely worse than being on the streets and having to rely on the natural elements and resources around you to counter the natural elements of the weather and things of that nature. Some of y'all socially are such terrorists that life is less complicated. Somewhere with a box, a blanket, and a cup. And I don't say that emotionally. I don't say that derogatorily. I say it factually. Some of y'all will genuinely run the people that you say you want to be with you away from you, doing nothing but being who you think you are, saying what you felt was right, acting how you're accustomed to acting. What did they tell you you were? They told you were a human, right? Hue, man. What is hue? The attributes of colors that permits them to be classified as red, yellow, green, blue, or any intermediate between. So, as a human, I am an attribute of a color. I am the quality of a feature. Each individual is the mind, not the physical body. See, the hue of the man helps you classify the physical body, but the physical body is not who I am. I am is encased in the physical body, in the case of you and I. Check this out. We've seen physical bodies no longer exist. We've seen them exist. We've seen them here with us. And then we've seen sometimes tragic things, sometimes natural things remove that physical expression from the physical plane that we are able to observe with our eyes. But the mind did not cease to exist. But had it been the other way around, had the mind ceased to exist, no physical body would be able to exist in the mind's absence. So for you and I to get it in our head that we are our bodies, even though our body is dependent on the mind that operates within the body, it's just silly. The mind is spirit. The mind is the intellect that manipulates the body and the physical world. The mind is like a frequency tuner. The mind exists within the mental plane. Your body exists on the physical plane. Your mind exists, the mind exists on the mental plane. Okay? The mind is like a frequency tuner. All right? Operating as a mediator between the soul and the body. Let's walk it down. The mind exists on the mental plane, shared between all the minds. Now, this is the very reason why no matter where you were born geographically, you do not have an excuse for where you have landed on the metric scale of abundance. How you have fared with success has absolutely nothing to do with the city or state that you were born in, or the family unit, the DNA structure, the genes that landed you in the house on the particular street. So off top, there's no more, if I just would have been in New York, I could have walked past a music exec and got my music out. Or if I just would have been in California, I could have wrote a book and got it published and became a bestseller and ended up getting a feature-length film built from my story. But it just didn't happen because I'm from Ocala, or I'm from Winter Haven, or I'm from El Paso. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's not how it works. You were given the same measure that everyone else was given, which is a full measure of I am. And you had full access to utilize the creative forces within you, same way as everybody else did. Now, what you chose to do is your choice. And the crazy thing is about this simulator that we are inside of, this dualistic simulation that is nothing but a reminder, a reflection, a faint one, oftentimes, because of the way we use our attention. But a faint reflection nonetheless of the mental plane which we are governed by and we do originate from. But we don't consciously observe our experiences here. We get caught up emotionally. We get caught up psychologically. We get caught up and distracted and focused on the external aspects of our experience that we have absolutely no control over, and actually is largely controlled by our inner dialogue and inner emotions that we carry, that we would never admit, but that directs our lives. Like we said earlier, emotion is the language of the universe. How you feel is what you'll get, not what you wish for, not what you hope for, not what you study, not what you talk about, not what you no. How you feel is what you'll receive. The measure at which you expect to receive is what you're gonna get. You'll never supersede or outdo your self-expectations. Whether your self-expectations are rooted in your self-ignorance or your self-awareness, that's on you. The choice is yours. Crazy thing is, we think that we create our thoughts, and we are sadly mistaken. Thoughts are not created. Thoughts are interpreted. Thoughts are experienced. Thoughts are attracted. Thoughts are drawn to you based on the frequency at which your mind has been tuned. Remember, we said the mind is like a frequency tuner. The mind operates as a communication device with the soul and the body. calling to the body what the soul has focused and drawn to itself in the electromagnetic field of its experience. And it's not only the electromagnetic field of the field that we have found ourselves inside of, but there is a field on the inside of us, because we are the earth. The nervous system, the central nervous system inside of mankind, everybody has one, no choice, nothing you could have did to earn it, nothing you can do to lose it. I mean, you can absolutely squander it away, don't get me wrong, but you didn't pay for your central nervous system. You didn't pay for your cardiovascular system. So how in the hell you ever got it in your head that the most important things that you could ever obtain or attain are things that you can purchase? Come on, man. Listen, the most important thing that you can ever have are the things that were freely provided to you that you have long forgotten are yours. Your greatest assets are the things that are collecting dust outside of your awareness. But at least you can't lose it. At least it's yours irrevocably. At least nobody can take it away. And crazy thing is, you don't think you're a shallow Hal. You don't think that you're narrow-minded. You don't think that you have a small vision field. You think that you are a grand scheme thinker. You think that you're a visionary. You think that you're somebody who always is cognizant of the big picture. And for you to think that you're always aware of the big picture with the small things that you be getting hung up on and being emotionally connected to and frustrated about, lets you and I both know that we are oftentimes self-deceived and misdirected by the illusions that we draw as conclusions within ourselves about ourselves. Big picture people don't get caught up on the small details and blow head gaskets, turn around, go back where they started from, and act like they never cared. No, that's what irritable, entitled people who had a narrative on the inside of them of what this experience was supposed to be like before they ever experienced it, because they had never done it before. And the minute that the experience didn't match the imagination, they no longer had the willpower to continue through the experience. Guiding your thoughts rather than allowing your thoughts to guide you in circles, into chaos, into your fears, into calamity, into disasters, into what you call generational curses. That's not a generational curse. You observed the person who observed the person who observed the person who observed exhibiting the dysfunction. And ain't nobody stopped to think about how it's affecting them, saw the truth of it, took accountability for it, and submitted it to the true way. You your daddy's son. Truth of the matter is, while we think we are constantly focused on so many different things, your mind is generally tuned to one habitual frequency that you tune your mind to unconsciously, because you've done it so many times that you now have drawn conclusions about a world that you experience through your interpretations and the frequency that you call to yourself. And you now have begun to judge other people, the state of mankind that you tell it is tainted by the frequency that you call to yourself. The state of humanity, the state of this world, is all compromised by your comprehension of the frequency and the stimuli that you call to yourself from the frequency that you carry. This is a beautiful place. You've just set yourself on a hideous frequency. So you find the things that are ugly and you totally miss the beauty. Which is why you were told in universal principle, not religious rhetoric and dogma, to set your mind on the things above, to set your mind on the things that were good and lovely and whole and righteous. Because if you set your mind on those things, then more will flow to you. See, I can see and I'm appreciative of the portion that's in front of me. And because of my good stewarding of the portion in front of me, I'll receive more. Me accepting and appreciating the abundance that has been extended to me extends more. It's not hard. Stop working so hard. Stop getting so frustrated. You're driving yourself up walls. You're shortening your lifespan. You're giving yourself hypertension. And it could all be so simple. Every frequency is a color. That's why you have people who talk about seeing auras. I don't really know if they can see the aura or not. It's not for me to determine, not for me to judge. I have no idea. I've never tried. But I do understand that it's time for you to intentionally set your frequency on what it is, not that you think you want and you'll experience, and compare it to your imagination of it and find yourself as dissatisfied with it as the last imagination that you chased. Set your frequency on I am and allow for I am to draw you to all things that are good, all things that are true, and all things that are edifying for you and those connected to you. Let your kingdom reign, man. Like it.